ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday, April 6th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Slight scratchy voice today, so please bear with me. We will get your text in this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Where do we begin? I think we begin at Cam Henderson Center on Saturday. First of all, hey, what a tremendous game that was. Marshall winning its first WNIT championship. The trophy was actually pretty cool looking. That was a little heftier in trophy than I was expecting. And the crowd, unbelievable, phenomenal crowd for the Thundering Herd in that victory. I don't know if you were at that game, but if you were, you know what I was talking about. It was just electric. I don't know. That's probably the best atmosphere that I have been in all season long at Marshall. At the Henderson Center, that's the best atmosphere. No shot to the guys, but that was the best all season long, men or women. And so Marshall gets the victory. Tamaya Lewis-Utsi breaks the Marshall University single season scoring record in the process, and the Herd gets a commanding 66-41 victory. 28 wins. That's the most in program history. And just to see a sellout at the Henderson Center. Now, I would like to see that more consistently at both men's and women's games. I think the women deserve it, obviously. They put on a show. The men, I would like to see it get to that level consistently. But still, that was what home court advantage looks like and feels like. And so the Thundering Herd gets that victory. And now Marshall can hang up a banner. That's the important thing right there. You can hang the banner up. You can get the championship ring. You got to feel good about it. You can have that as sort of part of your, hey, come to Marshall package. Show that video, show that crowd, hey, this is what we do here. This is what we come up with here at Marshall University when we play for big-time championships or we play for meaningful games. Get to play in April. Now, the goal ultimately is going to be the NCAA tournament. Every year you want to get into the NCAA tournament. But I think we've seen that maybe the WNIT is going to be a viable alternative for Marshall, at least if Marshall can put on performances like that in years that it can't get into the NCAA tournament. So we're going to see that maybe more and more with this team. And so got to hit the transfer portal now and get going. So if you were there, was that your first time in a while? Is that your first time ever? Or were you a seasoned pro coming to the Herd game? And hats off, by the way. They weren't that big of a crowd, but they were bigger than some schools. Illinois State, their fans were there. They were into it. I felt like Marshall did a good job making sure those folks felt like they were welcome. I didn't see any ugliness. And I've seen that in some conference games from teams coming into Huntington and, of course, from these students. And you want the students to be a little bit on top of them, and that's fine. But still, I felt like this was a good game between these two teams, but Marshall controlled it the entirety of the way. And now we got to figure out what this team looks like without some names, including TT. What does this team look like now? Do you take this and you go out and you get some really good names? You probably can get some names. Maybe you go out there, hit that transfer portal. You can get some team building going on here that can definitely compete in the Sun Belt. I would think that would help as well. just to say, hey, look, this is what we were able to do. We can do even more with you. We're already competitive in the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt basically had the two best teams. Honestly, I don't know if there were anyone on that other side that was as good as maybe Arkansas State. I felt like after watching that game on Saturday that Marshall played for the championship against Arkansas State, that the winner of that game was going to win this thing. And Illinois State's had some experience in this tournament as well, so don't overlook them. That was a good team that Marshall beat. And so the Herd gets that victory, and now we get to celebrate here in the near future a championship banner. We get to celebrate these student athletes getting championship rings. That's always good for the recruiting, for the psyche of the program. And Julie Folks, I think if you didn't already, make sure she wants to stay and you give her plenty of reasons to stay. You think that maybe in a couple of years that some other school is going to come try to poach her now that she's shown a little more success? She's shown that, hey, I've got experience. I do good things across the board. I've made that transition from Division III now to Division I. I've taken a team. They've been competitive. I've taken them into WNIT. I've won in a tournament. I do this for a living. I'm good at it. Now, can you win a Sun Belt Conference championship, regular season, and or tournament? Can you get into the NCAA tournament and maybe get a couple of games? Can you show what you can do with a little bit more time? And then will other schools come and try to poach her? So it's imperative you try to keep her as long as you can. Now, I'm not saying she's looking, but you start having some success and you could probably get a phone call. Now, what would be the right situation for her to leave Marshall? And I'm not speculating she's looking or she's going to leave, but you got to think about it now. You start becoming more and more successful, showing that, hey, you can make that transition from Division III to Division I. You can build a program. You can lead a program. Maybe you get the reins of a program, not Tennessee, something a little bit more manageable, lower expectations, not insane expectations, but you can build something at a program that's not expecting to be the champion every year like some programs do. Say, for example, Kentucky or a Tennessee. Texter says, Paul, there is no reason why Marshall shouldn't sell out all games that they can for men and women's and make it one of the toughest places to play. I agree. I appreciate that. Thanks for the text. I mean, we're talking about, what, 5,000 plus seats with the configuration it is now? I mean, that's what we're talking about, 5,000, give or take. That should be easy. Absolutely. If you can show up on a Saturday on short notice to watch the women play, be it a championship game, but still, if you can do that, and there were fans lined up, fans tailgating, they were definitely getting into it. And there were a lot of other things going on around the Henderson Center as well. So let's be honest with ourselves here. There were things to do. It was a day for a lot of people. But there's no reason why you could not get close to that on a consistent basis. I would be the toughest place to play. I would make this the toughest place to play in the Sun Belt with that fan support. Absolutely would make it tough. And those fans on Saturday, if you were among them, again, on top of this game the entire time, I didn't really feel a lull. There was not that one time. I mean, it did get a little boring for a while when nobody was scoring. It was very defensive oriented, or nobody could make a shot, or there were a lot of turnovers. That second period, that second quarter, yeah, that was tough. But Marshall, from start to finish, this was Marshall's game. There was no doubt in my mind. There wasn't anything that Illinois State was able to do that led me to believe, okay, they're gearing up for a run. They're gearing up for possibly a close finish. Nothing And so that was Marshall's victory all the way. 304-396-TALK is our text line, 304-396-8255 to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Again, apologize for the scratchy voice a little bit. There's a lot going on. I know you saw this earlier in the weekend. Mike D'Antoni has been named to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, a deserving honor for him. Also, I don't know if you've seen this, but the Marshall baseball game against number 17 West Virginia has been moved to Wednesday. It was set for Tuesday, but it's now moved to Wednesday due to the cold temperatures which are forecasted for Tuesday evening. So if you were planning on heading to Morgantown, your plans have changed. If you wanted to go but you couldn't go on a Tuesday, maybe Wednesday's better for you, but that game has now been moved to Wednesday at 6:30 in Morgantown. So we'll get your text in. Again, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll recap the weekend with you. Talk about that women's game a little bit more. What do you think? Again, I'm curious. Was that your first time going? Hadn't been in a while? Or, hey, I've been here all along. Thanks for being a part of it. It was funny, though. I looked at this and was like, where have some of these people been? I haven't seen some of these people in a while. It was all good, though. It was all good to see everyone show up and root this team on. So if you were there, did you take your kids? I mean, we saw a lot of people that maybe normally don't go. There were a lot of young ladies in the audience as well. I think somebody had made it possible for a lot of young girls to come and see that, and that's really cool because that's kind of how you get them involved, and they start going to these games, get that opportunity that normally wouldn't have, and they're excited about it, and maybe they want to watch more or try to go play it. That was cool to see. So overall, I was happy. Did not want to miss that, and thankfully I didn't, and hopefully you didn't as well. More coming up on today's edition of Your Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
It's baseball season, and baseball fans know the season can be long. You need something to help you through, and that something is Roosters at Pullman Square in Huntington. Roosters has over 40 big screen TVs, so your game is always on. And with their great daily specials, like the $3 featured appetizer of the week on Tuesdays, the season will be over before you know it. And if you're like me, fan of a losing team, there's nothing like Roosters wings to soften the blow. Roosters at Pullman Square in Huntington, a fun casual joint.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Genesis Oxygen and Home Medical Equipment, serving Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia since 1977. Oxygen, CPAP, wheelchairs, beds, wound care, and more. Most insurances accepted, 24/7 emergency services. Genesis, a world of difference. Go Mart. Go for good times. Go for Go Mart.
Spring is here and it's time to hit the road. Don't let worn out tires, old wipers, or a weak battery slow you down. TikTok Tire has everything you need for smooth spring driving. From fresh tires and reliable batteries to quality wipers, TikTok Tire is your one-stop shop for spring car care needs. Their expert team will keep your ride running like new, ensuring your car is ready for the road, no matter where you're headed. TikTok Tire at 2102 3rd Avenue, Huntington. TikTok Tire. Spring driving made easy.
Injured in a wreck? Warner Law Offices is now here for you in Huntington on 4th Avenue across from the courthouse. Personal, local, decades of experience.
Call 345-6789.
Hi,
this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thank you, Dave. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, 10:06 a.m., right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. It is Metro News Talk Line. Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Again, I want to apologize for the scratchiness of the voice today. Apparently, West Virginia is going through all 4 seasons at the same time every day this week. So, with that said, let's get your text in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, Marshall better pay Coach Julie and not let her get away like Coach Caldwell. Unfortunately for Caldwell, she might have one more season to prove it or lose it next season. Pay Coach Julie. Glad to following the women's Marshall University team the entire season and watch them win the championship. There's a lot to unpack there. Let me go first with better pay Coach Julie. I think that there should be some incentives here that are coming her way. And I appreciate the text. You perform, you do well, I think there's some incentives coming your way. I mean, look how successful Coach Grassie's been. And I don't think Marshall's going to let him get away anytime soon. Now, if a big-time school comes a-calling, it's going to be very hard. But Coach Folks is someone who, she doesn't come off to me as I'm trying to get to the next big thing. I think she's excited that she's at Marshall, and for however long she's at Marshall, I believe she's going to build something really good at Marshall University. And yeah, I was disappointed that Coach Caldwell left. That was before Marshall hired Coach Folks. She had revitalized that basketball team, able to get a regular season and tournament championship all in her first season, and then Tennessee called, and she took that job. Dream job for her. Doesn't come around very often. So you take that. And yeah, it's been very difficult for her. Now, she's a pro in so many ways. She knows how to coach. She's had success. And I feel like she can get it done. Maybe Tennessee wasn't the right fit for her. Marshall is maybe a better fit for her at the time. She's obviously getting some more experience here. And, you know, maybe if she would have stayed at Marshall, that would have benefited her a few more seasons. And then you get the big swing job. But now to flip that, you bring someone in, and we keep talking about this because we have to. You don't get the 400 wins by accident. And Coach Folks has done a fantastic job taking the program. There was that transition year last season. And injuries have kind of hurt this team as well, but you saw what it looked like when it was pretty much healthy. And that tournament run last year was great. Showed, hey, this team, once it gets going, it can play some basketball. And then this season that just finished, maybe if it was a healthier team, it could have got to the NCAA tournament, had a chance to recover or relax a little bit, you know. Hey, we're going out there. We want to win this here. We want to get this tournament, show what we're really made of. And I don't want to say relax and take it easy, but well, you're playing at home for a lot of this tournament. You're playing close by. And you're playing with house money at this point. You got nothing to lose. Let's go get it. And that's what the Herd did. Now, if Marshall can figure a way to keep Coach Folks here for a long time, I think they'll get it done. Again, she doesn't seem like the type that's looking for the next quick big hit. She's not trying to use this to pad her resume so she can go somewhere else. Now, if a better job offer comes, she's got to look at it. I would think that everyone would understand. If you got a better job offer, you look at it. But you got to make sure that you make it so she can stay. You put her in a position where she can win and she can stay. And she doesn't feel like she has to leave. That she can achieve at Marshall University. Texter says, Paul, no doubt Coach Folks will be approached to leave Marshall for another program, and I don't think it will take very long. we better be proactive to keep her. I agree. Appreciate the text. If your coach isn't being approached, I don't know if that's a bad thing. But I feel like if your coach is getting approached, that's kind of a good thing. Like, hey, is there any interest out here for Coach Folks? Well, yeah, there is. She's a good coach. So I would think that's a good thing. And again, it kind of puts Marshall in a spot where, okay, we're going to have to be proactive. We want to keep this thing going. We like where we're at right now. We want to keep this thing going. There's some schools that are maybe showing some interest in Coach. We want to make sure that she has what she needs. She can win at this level. She can compete for championships, get into the NCAA tournament. Because unless you're one of the big powers right now, a lot of schools, especially at the Marshall level, are one and done in the NCAA tournament. So a tournament like this, while it's not the goal for Marshall every year, a tournament like this actually, I think, was probably more fun. Because it was Marshall versus other like institutions. And that doesn't mean Marshall can't go out and compete with some of the bigger schools. That's not what I'm saying. But this was kind of a tournament where, all right, Marshall is probably as good as it showed or better than most of these teams. Now, Marshall didn't play the other side, so we don't know if there was a team that might have had Marshall's number, and thankfully we will never know. But I did feel like, again, that Marshall and Arkansas State, that was for all the marbles. The winner of that one was winning that championship game. If Arkansas State would have got past Marshall, Arkansas State would have hosted that game, and Marshall would have been watching Arkansas State hoist that trophy. But instead, Sunbelt showed it was a tough conference. It's good. And if Marshall can continue to win, you can build something really nice here. I'd be happy with conference championships and get to the NCAA tournament, win a couple of games, or at least win a game and show some progress. That'd be fantastic. If not, the WNIT is not a bad alternative. I don't want to constantly live in the WNIT. Let's not call that what it is. It's a good tournament. If it's not the NCAA tournament, that's the tournament you want to go to. I think it has a little bit more visibility. And all those kids on that court were playing hard for that trophy. That was what was fun about this thing. Nobody was disappointed to be there. You remember those years Marshall was in some of those tournaments? And the CIT, there were a couple of years where Marshall didn't want to be there. Like, okay, we're here. No, you got to want to be there. And I think the WNIT, if you can't get to the NCAA tournament, that's a tournament that, okay, you'll be good with being in. And the fans were all behind the herd. The team was excited to win that championship. The other side, they were disappointed. So they were invested. And by the way, again, limited interaction, but good fans. I don't know if it's too soon, but get them on the schedule in the future. Down the line, not too far, but down the line, get them on the schedule. I'd like to see that game again. And I think there would be some interest. Maybe you could go on the road first and then bring them back. Get a home and home. That would be a good series. If you're looking for opponents, you got a little bit to build off of now. Hey, would you like to do this again? We won't be playing for a trophy, but would you like to do this again? And I think you could get a good series out of this. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is the text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Don't forget, coming up tonight, We got the national championship. Herd, its season's over. But tonight it's going to be UConn and Michigan. We'll have that game starting at 7. That's our airtime right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Whoa. Okay. This one says you get a free phone if you switch. Hey, this one also says you get a free phone if you switch.
Yeah, they all do, hon.
Wait. The T-Mobile one says families saved over $3,700 versus the other big guys in the past 5 years. And their experience plans have Netflix included, plus a year of Dash Pass by DoorDash.
Hang on. Let me see that. And a 5-year price guarantee? Oh, yeah, we're switching.
That's what I'm talking about. Do we clap now, or...?
I'm thinking high five.
At T-Mobile, get savings that keep stacking up. That's value you can feel every day. Switch now at T-Mobile.
Savings based on Harris X billing snapshots from Q3 2021 to Q4 2025 among accounts with 3+ voice lines compared to AT&T and Verizon, excluding discounts, credits, and optional charges. See harrisx.com/T-Mobile. Price guarantee on talk, text, and data. Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. See T-Mobile.com.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
The 25th Annual Rally for Autism is Saturday, April 25th. Join the Autism Services Center, the Autism Society of West Virginia, and the West Virginia Autism Training Center for a day of fun, food, and prizes as they work to build a stronger community, all while raising awareness, promoting education about inclusion, and helping to provide resources for individuals with autism and their families. Register for the 5K run and walk at rallyforautism.org. The Rally for Autism, April 25th at Huntington's Ritter Park, empowering every step, celebrating every milestone.
Jim's Steak and Spaghetti now makes it easier than ever to enjoy your favorites. Order online for pickup, delivery, or catering at jimspaghetti.com. From hearty spaghetti and savory sauce to haddock, fries, and more, we've got something for everyone. Prefer to dine in? Visit Jim's at 5th Avenue in Huntington, now open on Sundays. Whether you're picking up, having it delivered, catering your next event, or dining with us, Jim's Steak and Spaghetti has you covered. Order online today at jimspaghetti.com.
It's spring cleaning season. Out with the old and in with the new. At Sue's Junk and Antique Mall on Camden Road in Huntington. With over 400 vendors, you'll find incredible furniture, primitive decor, unique items, collectibles, action figures, lots of the new season, new finds, and new reasons to explore. Spring into Sue's Junk and Antique Mall today. Skip the ordinary and discover something unforgettable. At Sue's Junk and Antique Mall, 459 Camden Road in Huntington.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with your Monday edition. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. A little battered today, but we're going to struggle on. We've been talking about this WNIT, and I think everyone agrees, or at least everyone that was at this game agrees. It was good. It was good for the Herd. It really meant something. Marshall had the bid to get that championship game, and Marshall won that bid. And there was some disappointment that Marshall couldn't get the bid to host against Arkansas State. And with college athletics, where it's at right now financially, that gate, I'm sure, helped. All those fans buying concession, merch, everything you possibly could spend your money on. All of that helped probably cover or at least make this a lot more affordable for the Thundering Herd, because you gotta pay to play, right? But that's okay. I think it was worth it for this Thundering Herd, but that leads me to something interesting I read today. Now, this is from Sports Business Journal, and I look at that now and then, and the NIT was brought up because the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, which is tonight, we've got the game. It's potentially going to move to 76 teams. And that's going to benefit, obviously, the power schools a lot more. Hey, there's more room. Number 7, number 8 gets in, right? A school like Auburn, which won the NIT, Auburn could probably get in. You make it easier for those big money schools to get in. Because I don't see the Sun Belt all of a sudden getting 2 or 3 bids with an expansion here. How much longer, and this might be more on the men's side than the women's side, unless the women's side expands as well, how much longer are tournaments like this going to be viable? Auburn's athletic director, John Cohen, said about the event, again, this team won. This wasn't the plan, he said. It wasn't the goal. But anything that's going to help give us momentum toward getting toward our goal, which is the NCAA tournament, is worthwhile. Now, another person that was quoted is Florida State's athletic director, Michael Alford. And excuse me, I apologize. He said, because Florida State opted out of going to the NIT, he said in the story, you don't make any money in the NIT. Now you're looking at where am I best to spend my resources, and is that the best use of my resources? He added that comes into play with the decisions you're going to be making in the future, especially when it comes to that tournament. So will this tournament survive? Will the NIT survive? And of course, you saw the crown. And if you didn't, West Virginia won the crown. And you get a little NIL kickback in this. You get some money. So those players are excited. They're going to get a little cash out of that. It was what it was. It's a short mini tournament. It was a made-for-TV tournament. You would think that the NCAA tournament is made for TV. But the crown is definitely, it's a television tournament. And that's fine. Those kids had a good time, I'm sure. They got to win a championship in a tournament, get to pocket some cash. NIT, not the same as, it's pay to play. Do you think that these tournaments will continue to survive? And now think about this. Was that the best resources? And I'll ask this of any school, not just Marshall. So I'm not singling out Marshall here. But was this tournament the best use of Marshall's resources? Or any school's resources? I'm going to say yes. In this instance, it was. It was a good use of Marshall's resources. Marshall had a legitimate chance to win this tournament. And there were some benefactors that helped make this possible. And the attendance helped offset the cost. And Marshall gets a championship out of it in the WNIT, which I don't know how many people tuned in to ESPN Plus to watch this, but still, it was an opportunity for women to see themselves in equal footing, because there's opportunity. There's postseason opportunity for them. And I think it really helped the program as well, because, the Marshall Athletic Department affording these student athletes opportunities. It's good PR. And the fans seem to enjoy it. Texter says, I think the Herd Gals winning the WNIT is a more significant program win than that third-rate tournament that the WVU men won. I appreciate the text, and the crown is tertiary at best. Now, it's going to grow because if you don't get into the NCAA tournament, and you're one of the power schools and you have an opportunity to go play some basketball, make a little money, you're going to go play in that tournament. No one's going to mistake winning the crown for anything other than what it was. A postseason tournament. You got some extra games in. You got to play some basketball late in March and April. You got to pick up a little cash, right? And a program like that, a tournament like that, I think it's going to be around for a little bit. Depends on what happens with the NCAA tournament. Because if more teams are going, does that lessen not just the NIT, but the crown as well? Can we see a preseason crown? The preseason crown tournament or the midseason crown? I don't know if that's going to go away anytime soon, because if you're offering me a check, okay, let's go play. And that might come into play in the future. How do you get these kids to play? Well, what's it worth to them is probably the big thing. I do think, though, to your point, on the women's side, I don't know if you can compare men's and women's, but the WNIT on the men's side usually falls under the not invited tournament, not interested tournament. And I don't think a lot of people were buzzing over the NIT, not the WNIT. I'm talking the NIT now. I don't think a lot of people were buzzing over that. I mean, it's great that Auburn won it, and I still feel that the NIT has merit. It's a long-standing tournament. And for kids that just want to play basketball, here's another opportunity. It's still on ESPN. ESPN has it through 2032. It has that and the WNIT. It's actually part of the deal that was signed with the NCAA in 2024 for the broadcast rights for 40 championships. That includes volleyball, basketball, gymnastics. It's grown a little bit. It's drawn a little bit of a crowd here or that. And the college basketball crown went from 16 to 8 teams. 16 to 8. It basically cut its field in half. Would you tune in on the regular, year in and year out? There's so much going on. And with the Final Four this year not being on broadcast television, I don't know for how many of you that's a thing, but for a lot of people it is. Hey, I can't find the game. Where's the game at? And with the fragmentation of broadcasting sporting packages, it's all over the place. Let's get back to the text line. Texter says, Paul, one thing that I have to say in my opinion that is disappointing is that it seems as though a lot of Marshall fans and students won't come out to support the Marshall sports teams unless they're in a big game or championship, which I feel is problematic. Hopefully this will open fans' eyes to come out and support more of the herd. Appreciate the text. I've always believed and I might be the outlier here. I've always believed this. It should always be, hey, Marshall's playing today. Not, well, Marshall's playing for an NIT championship. We got to go. That's exciting. But it should be, hey, Marshall's playing today. Let's go watch the game. We're not doing anything. We don't have any youth tournaments to take the kids to. We're all free. We don't have to head up to wherever. We can go to the game and then still do some other things. It should always be, hey, let's go watch the Herd play. Right? That's always been my thought. Some people will, and I'm not saying that this is a majority opinion here, but some people will go, Marshall needs to get a better schedule. Okay, I agree with that to a degree. I absolutely agree with that to a degree. Because you look at the schedules, and these things are done years in advance, so you really don't know. But your home schedule, non-conference, is going to be Middle Tennessee and Gardner-Webb. There's a reason why it's Gardner-Webb. You need one of those games. In 2027, you got Boise State and Bowling Green. Now, I'm actually interested in that. I mean, Boise State, depends on what kind of Boise State team you get. Bowling Green, I have no problem with Bowling Green. Mid-American Conference foe, absolutely. That's a fine game. That's a good game. I'm good with that. 2028, Ohio and Central Connecticut. I'm talking home games now here. Ohio should always be an automatic interest. It's a draw. It should be. Central Connecticut, take it or leave it. 2030, Austin Peay. Got a little familiarity with that place, right? 2031, it's going to be Toledo and Eastern Michigan. 2032, it's going to be WKU, right? Right? Because that game's going to be a road game in 2031. And then in 2033, it's going to be Toledo. Hopefully I'm around in 2033 to see that Toledo game. I'll be here, don't worry. But still, none of that should matter. I mean, Marshall's going to Alabama in 2027. Marshall's going to Wisconsin in 2028. So you're going to get some big-time games there. But it shouldn't matter the opponent. It should, hey, Marshall's playing today. Who's Marshall playing? Going to play Ohio. Okay, can't wait. Always my thought on that. And that's the same thing with basketball or anything. If you like basketball and Marshall's playing and you like Marshall, then you're going to the game, right? That should be it. I shouldn't have to qualify that, anything else. Now, you don't have to go to all games. It's not required. I'm not judging or keeping score. I'm not counting that. But if you like Marshall basketball and Marshall's playing basketball and you like Marshall, then you should be happy to go to Marshall basketball games. But it was cool to see that support. And the team did need it. I just hope that that's not the exception, that you see more and more of a community involvement. More students. That would be good to see more students. More opportunities to go see the Herd for youngsters as well. If there's a ticket program, if somebody wants to step up and provide tickets for, maybe kids that don't have that opportunity, whatever it takes. Because I've been in those games where the kids are at the game, education day, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, and I've gone deaf for that day. And I absolutely believe that. It shouldn't just be, hey, it's a big game, so we should go. And maybe I'm on the outside looking in. I'm probably the outlier here, but for me, it's the game first, the social aspect second. Maybe again, I'm the wrong guy to ask that question, because I always felt like it's the game and the social aspect. Not it's the social aspect. Oh, and there's a game. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Spring's around the corner, and savings are in full bloom at Menards. Get your backyard ready with garden tools that make every job easy. Define your landscape with durable edger blocks. Then top it off with colorful mulch that keeps weeds down and supports healthy plant growth. You'll also find a huge selection of grass seed and fertilizer to make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood. Gear up, green up, and save big at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Hurt at work? Warner Law Offices is now here for you in Huntington on 4th Avenue, across from the courthouse. Personal, local, decades of experience.
Call 345-6789.
I'm with Chris from Christopher's Eats. Chris, the new brunch menu is perfect. I had the steak and eggs last weekend, and my wife loves the brunch bowls.
Hey, thanks a lot for that feedback. It's been great so far. But listen, you got to try the breakfast nachos and the Monte Cristo next time.
Sounds good to me. Plus the mimosas, the Bloody Marys, they hit the spot, but it's only available on Sundays, right?
That's right. It's Sundays 10:30 a.m. to 3.
Try brunch for yourself with Christopher's Eats. Order it online, christopherseats.com, or stop in Route 60 Huntington.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue on with your drive for this Monday. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop is 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255. Let's go back to the text line. We've been talking a lot about the Marshall win in the WNIT. The crowd was fantastic. Largest crowd of the year for the Thundering Herd. I didn't look at the number close enough. It felt like the largest crowd of the year for men or women, but still, that was a huge crowd. Great atmosphere. Texter says, Paul, nobody gives two craps about any of these Crown, CTI, or CBA tournaments. The only tournaments that matter is the NCAA or NIT men's or women's tournaments. Realistically, I love to see the Marshall men basketball team win an NIT. By the way, spot on, Paul. Appreciate the text. Thank you. Yeah, spot on. Should always be about the Herd. That's disgusting. Now, don't load me up with a bunch of middle schools here. I'm not saying the Herd's doing that on your schedule. Don't load me up there, but still. You can get a game like that now and then, but give me some games that are competitive. I mean, it doesn't mean just because I'm saying, hey, Marshall fans should show up to support the Herd doesn't mean that Marshall schedule makers shouldn't show up to support the Herd fans. So let's not get that twisted, but thank you. Appreciate that. And back to your point there, I think that's a valid take. It's like the bowls for me. And more now with the playoff, that's lessen the appeal of the bowl. Now, when I was a younger Paul Swann, way back when, in 1999, and Marshall got to go to the Motor City Bowl. That was cool. That was fun. Hey, Marshall, not in my lifetime, Marshall's going to a bowl game. And that was fun. It got, for me anyway, it got boring after a while, repetitive. Like, okay, hey, Marshall's going to Detroit again. Are the Red Wings playing? No? Okay. And so the bowl games are an opportunity to extend your season, get to play for something, right? You're playing for a trophy. What's different about a bowl game than, say, the Crown? What's different? And, of course, the College Insiders Tournament, that didn't take place this year. And the CBI didn't take place this year. The Crown took place, which is sort of a competitor to the NIT. The NIT took place. You probably didn't know who won until I told you. You probably still don't care. And if the NCAA tournament expands, what's that going to do to the field? All of a sudden, hey, is it really viable to go to the NIT? Now, again, on the women's side, I think a tournament like the WNIT is more viable, especially if it's affordable, if it's manageable. If you can do it, you can put it in your budget, and you can put it in your budget, and you can make that back, and you can come out close to being whole. I mean, you're not going into that to make money. You're going into that to give your women an opportunity to play and to possibly win a championship and to move the program forward. You're going to do that. You would probably take that over a WBI. I had someone ask me that the other day. Actually pulled me aside. It's like, what? Looking at the banner, it's like, what is that? Didn't remember. I was like, yeah, that's the Women's Basketball Invitational. And now you don't look at that and say, oh, well, okay, that's a terrible tournament. You take that bid and you go. I mean, but the Women's Basketball Invitational, the WBI, it was all right. I'm not exactly thrilled about it. I would personally rather see Marshall go in the WNIT than anything else. And then don't forget, you got the WBI, that was something Marshall participated. Now you have the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament. And that was played on March 30th and April 1st. And Columbia won that over BYU. And that was also on ESPN+. And that gave some opportunity as well to some teams. I mean, there were some teams in that thing. Wisconsin was in it. Harvard was in it. North Dakota State. I mean, come on. It's a hockey school right there. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with the throat today. We're going to try to get the lozenges going and get this back to fighting shape for tomorrow. Always can find me on X at Paul Swann. Have a great night, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.